It's the Extremist movie debate, and tonight we're talking 2017's The Disaster Artist.
I'm unpaid intern Jeff.
I'm Ethan, and one of us is going to love it, one of us is going to hate it.
Let the coin decide our fate.
I love it.
I hate this movie. Hey guys, don't write a tell-all piece about someone you're supposedly best friends with and then throw them under the bus to make yourself look like the hero. Spoilers are ahead.
This movie has a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Nailed it. I called it.
You did.
I said that
well
out
done.
loud.
Yeah.
And Jeff, since you hate it, this question is for you.
All right, let's get down with the sickness.
Adam Graham of the Detroit News says, The Disaster Artist is a sweet, emotionally engaging tribute to friendship, the movies, and the importance of dreams. How important is it to, since all the people who made this movie are all good friends, is that important when you're making a movie? You have 1 minute.
I mean, it is, but the people who made this movie aren't friends, they're brothers. And then on top of that, the people who made the movie within the movie were friends, but one of them was just a manipulative, abusive piece of shit. So I don't know, that's probably the most toxic environment, which we see from the movie of Tommy Wiseau wants to, do things his way or the highway. And there's people fainting on set, money is being thrown around recklessly. Greg Sestero can't do what he wants to do, go be an extra on Malcolm in the Middle, because Tommy Wiseau is just a jealous, just a jealous dick who wants everybody to put aside their dreams so that way he can do what he wants and get what he wants out of people. It's not that they're friends; it's that he's manipulative and abusive, and I don't like that.
Thank you. Ethan, you have 30 seconds to respond.
I mean, if your biggest gripe about the movie is just describing the plot of the movie, Joe's drawing boobs, I think that is pretty weak. I think that it's important to have a little bit of conflict in this movie, let alone just making a bad movie. I think it's nice to have a commentary on friendship and have a commentary on the crumbling of friendship, having one of them be, crazy and manipulative, but also kind of your boss at the same time, and how that works out and how you want to help each other follow your dreams. It's very enjoyable to watch that in this setting.
Thank you, Ethan.
Oh, that was quick.
Jeff, you have 15 seconds.
I mean, that's fine. You can say that they need conflict, but the difference is the conflict isn't something that could be easily resolved. And then in the end, Greg and him are still friends, even to the point Greg says to this day they talk all the time. So it's not he just gave Tommy free pass to be abusive.
Thanks, Jeff. That's enough. Ethan, you have a final 15.
I mean, in the book, I think that Greg just wants to do this movie for money. And I think in the movie, it actually invents more of an intimate friendship than they actually had in real life. And so it's great that this movie gets to dwell on that and show us a little bit of trials and tribulations of that, however fictionalized it might be.
Thank you, Ethan. That was well timed. You should be a politician.
Boom.
So he kind of is.
That's true, actually. Ethan is.
He's running for local government.
No, he's an elected official.
That's true.
He already owns a title. So well done.
Call tonight about it. I said, now's not a good time to talk, man. Can you call me tomorrow?
Okay, so Ethan, since you love this movie, Kiva Stratton of Rescue says...
From where?
Does that have 8 R's?
Rescue?
Oh, it's from Australia.
Okay.
Perhaps this
Say it
one...
with an Australian accent, then. Rescue.
Kiva Stratton from Rescue.
There we go.
Perhaps this one... you want me to say...
New Zealand. Do it again.
Perhaps this one is just for the die-hard fans, burning to know how such a bad film was ever brought to life. Clearly, I'm not one of them. How does this movie transcend just above... how does this movie transcend the just above fans, or just for the fans label? You have 1 minute.
I just spent a lot of time talking about that, this movie actually talks about friendship. And this movie talks about not only succeeding in Hollywood and following your dreams, but following your dreams as a weird, shaky friendship that has a pretty awful foundation to begin with. So following down that line, you see where, friends can either help each other or hinder each other. And you get a little bit of all of that in this movie, which is why this movie has a buttload of fan service for people who do appreciate The Room, who do like to watch it with their friends. You can go with a big group of friends of this movie and watch all the recreation scenes and still laugh your balls off. It's a lot of fun, but it's also got a lot of heart to it. So balls and heart.
Thank you, Jeff. You have 30 seconds to respond.
I don't appreciate Ethan's use of vulgar language. And also, Ethan's making huge stretches of saying, this friendship started off so rocky and Greg only wanted to, get into acting. And so he used Tommy. They became friends in an acting class. And then, just through every coincidental thing, Tommy got the money to write a movie and Tommy wanted to cast Greg. And so Greg got, he got everything he wanted. He wasn't looking for a quick into Hollywood, because why the fuck would he go to Tommy?
You're done. Ethan, you have 15 seconds.
Did you fall asleep?
I think that Greg was inspired by Tommy. I think that Tommy has a mesmerizing confidence about him that Greg kind of fell into the trap of. And Greg said, yeah, I want to go and follow everything that you do, even though I don't necessarily think what you're doing is good. I like it. Confidence sells.
Thank you, Ethan. Jeff, you have 15 seconds.
Oh, so he had this enthralling confidence that attracted people to him. So he's just like every abusive male in Hollywood that we're seeing about right now. The Kevin Spaceys, the Henry Weinstein. That's the
Thanks,
ultimate
Jeff.
of a fucking cult leader.
Jeff, I appreciate it. I have a follow-up question for each of you. I'm going to give you 20 seconds each. And basically the question is just this. So Greg and Tommy Wiseau are not siblings. They're just simply friends. So does it affect how you view the movie, knowing that James Franco and Dave Franco are brothers and somewhat famous brothers at that? Jeff, you can go ahead first.
Are we doing it as our pros and cons?
Oh, yeah. You have 20 seconds.
Well, yeah, it totally takes away because, you would think theoretically that when they first met and he's like, hey, I want to run lines with you, Tom was just like, okay, give me your papers. And in real life, if someone came up to me and then they're best friends immediately, if someone came up to me in real life and said that shit, I'd be like, dude, get out of here. Be gone, wannabe. Be gone.
Thank you, Jeff. Ethan, before you answer, Tommy Wiseau and Greg...
Is it Wiseau or Wiseau? I think it's Wiseau. Weezu.
Either way,
Tommy Weezer.
They don't look at all alike. James Franco and Dave Franco look quite alike, even with the prosthetics. Go ahead, 20 seconds.
Well, I think that they did an excellent job pulling off impressions well, especially James Franco for this. But also, no, it does not bother me in the least because they're actors, and an actor should be able to separate themselves from reality into this character. So they did a great job of, acting.
All right, thank you. You guys have 3.5 minutes to bicker.
Was that both questions already?
Yeah, that was,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so, watching this movie and seeing the way everything played out, and, you keep saying, they are, humanizing the story, but what about it is humanizing? When you see that, when you humanize it, Tommy Wiseau is just a monster.
Yeah, he's a villain. So, he's a villain who thinks he's the hero, so you get that aspect of it, too, which I didn't even touch on, which is that he thinks that he's this all-American rock star.
Yet the whole movie, we're, cheering him on, everyone's clapping, everyone's laughing.
No,
Tommy Wiseau,
that's the thing is at no point in this movie is anybody cheering him on. Everybody's
there's a lot of times they'll have these dramatic scenes where the woman who plays Lisa's mom during the scene where she's saying, I got the test results back, I definitely have breast cancer. She passes out during that scene, and Tommy's
this is the end of the second
so everyone's freaking. It doesn't matter.
I'm talking about the first act. If you're talking about them building him up as a hero,
all right, should we just go scene by scene?
They're never building him up as a hero. You have
they kind of are in the beginning. They build him up as a hero because he has this
everybody around them in the world understands that they're terrible.
And you're when you see when he hands Greg the script at the restaurant, he goes, I wrote the script, I want you to read it, and Greg reads it, and everyone's in the crowd just yeah, now we're going to get into the room stuff, and then you get into the nitty-gritty of how terrible he is, but people are still invested and enthralled, and let's see what Tommy's going to do next. If this was a person you knew in real life, you wouldn't want to see what happened next. You would want to, in the words of John Taffer from Bar Rescue, you'd want to shut it the fuck down. I don't know, what people are seeing in Tommy that's, so great.
Who from Bar Rescue?
John Taffer from Bar Rescue on Spike TV, Sundays at 9.
I think that everybody was in this movie in real life for money's sake.
Nobody was in it for money's sake. Nobody. There was no money in it.
This guy was offering huge paychecks. This was his first $6 million on this movie. Nobody understood where his money came from.
That's fine. But guess what? They're not in it for the money because it's not like Tommy Wiseau had a huge track record of making big hits. A lot of these people, Lisa, Greg, these are their first movies, and this ruined their fucking career. So it's not like they were in because there was no money to be made. It was the exposure. Exposure, Ethan. There's a huge difference between money and
Look,
exposure.
they're not graphic artists writing for a zine, okay? These are people who think they're in a Hollywood movie and they've got a guy that has $1 million budget.
They're in like
budget.
a shitty like off Hollywood production. It's not Hollywood. It's
Look, they have a set. They have equipment.
no, they have a warehouse with a green screen when they could have taken
Tangerine
those
was
scenes
done with
and
iPhones,
filmed it
all
in
right? Don't judge people because they don't have all of your fancy schmancy
No,
equipment.
I mean iPhones.
Is that what you hated about this movie?
Really,
the most,
really, you want to talk about iPhones not being fancy? iPhones film in 4K. You know what that is? That's better than HD.
Okay,
you
so
dummy.
if a bunch
Maybe
of actors showed up and everybody was filming with
back
iPhones
in 2002,
in this movie, would that make you
and
feel
then
better about it?
2003, when maybe it would have looked better. Maybe it would have
Maybe
been
all of a sudden
in
it would have
focus.
been an actual Hollywood movie.
I mean, I guess like there's no Hollywood movie that's ever recorded on film and then in HD side by side. So 90% of the time the movie is out of frame and also out of focus.
He didn't quite know the difference
so
between
you can't
them,
say
and
they
he
were
wanted
in
to
it for the
experiment.
money.
Everybody
there was
has
never
to have
any
a
money
movie.
to be
I'm gonna
had.
cut you guys off right.
The
I'm gonna
exposure.
I'm gonna cut you
The
guys off right there.
exposure.
I have a quick follow-up question. Did either one of you stay for the stinger?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ethan, you have 10 seconds.
Tommy Wiseau is in it. They do a banter.
And Jeff, you have 10 seconds.
Cool way to pander to the audience, guys. Oh yeah, look, Tommy Wiseau wasn't in it, but guess where he is? And he's playing a weirdo, talking to another weirdo. Great.
Thank you, Jeff. Jeff wins that volley. How did you guys actually feel?
I like it. I mean,
It was kind of but I enjoyed it.
like I enjoyed sitting through it. I was gonna briefly talk to you in the car about it and decided to save it till air. Like my biggest issue is the issue I have with I guess like every kind of biopic is, there's only so much truth to it, and so then when you have characters who aren't the main characters that the story's coming from off to the side, like having these very long, detailed conversations,
Sure.
it's like, okay, like clearly this is made to progress the film, and
Yeah.
I'm sure there's so much that happened that wasn't in the movie or written down, like interactions between the other cast, but it's just it made me kind of really hate Tommy Wiseau on a human to human level. I kind of thought he was
already.
He was like this kind of there's always some kind of madness and weirdness that goes, especially for this movie. But then to see the shit that Greg was dealing with, not having water on set so that actors are passing out and not using AC, or the way he just kind of manipulated everyone. I wasn't joking when I was like, we're kind of just watching an abusive monster on screen, and we're kind of just like, yeah, let's see what happens next. It was fun to watch, but then when you really get into it, it kind of makes you uncomfortable.
When you realized all of this actually happened?
Yeah.
You tweak some things and it's a horror movie.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah,
tweak some
yeah.
things and it's a social network.
No,
again.
and I mean, I think the beginning with Tommy in the acting class, and the class teacher being like, "Are you have you thought of being a villain?" He's like, "I'm not a villain." But it's just like, yeah, you're a fucking villain, dude. You look like it, you act like it, you are 100% a villain of your own story where you should be the hero. It's kind of...
all that being said, I still thought it was an enjoyable movie, but you do kind of feel like watching it, kind of like what you said, is you're kind of tense and cringy for a lot of it, more than you are laughing, and it just kind of becomes nervous laughter. Like a lot of the biggest laughs in the theater I watched it with were moments where they were just recreating The Room. So you can watch The Room, or then the other moments were interesting to see. Those are all just moments from the Disaster Artist book.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just...
I
don't feel like making it into a movie. I mean, I guess it's great for people who haven't read the book. I also haven't read the book. I'm just aware of it. But it's it's all out there already.
Yeah, I think the biggest laughs weren't even the scenes from The Room. It was the in-betweens of the scenes from The Room. So whenever they yelled cut, and it was because Tommy couldn't hit his marks, or because something was fucked up and Tommy was freaking out about it. That was funny. But then you see the part with the woman who plays Lisa, and he belittles her for having a human body and telling her she's not sexy enough. So Paul Scheer threatens to kick his ass. There's so much more of that than there is the funny moments, that it's kind of just depressing, I guess.
Tommy Wiseau, or not Tommy Wiseau, James Franco, for playing Tommy Wiseau, is now in the talks of being a Best Actor nominee.
He did a fantastic job.
He's good.
Well, this is my question though, because this is something I think about every year. Whenever you see, I'm sure Margot Robbie's going to be nominated for
Robbie.
Tanya.
Yeah.
Is it Robbie?
Robbie.
So yeah, basically it's just Where do you think that stacks? Do you think he deserves it just because he imitates somebody? Or do you think it has to go beyond that? Or do you think it's better?
Sure. I mean, it's like so many people who get Oscar nods for imitating some, historic icon. Congratulations, you played King George.
Yeah,
Congratulations, you played Churchill. Like, we're all going to be talking about Oldman, I'm sure.
Right.
The fella who plays Black Panther,
Chadwick Boseman, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Chadwick Boseman. Who am I thinking of then? I'm thinking of the guy from 12 Years a Slave. Never mind. But yeah, Chadwick Boseman, like, doing...
he played Jackie Robinson.
Jackie Robinson and James Brown. And it's like... He like...
And Marshall.
Yeah, he has, like, a knack for, like, getting into those characters. But, I mean... I think you do have to kind of go a little bit further into it just to be...
Well, I guess my question, like...
I don't know, but then, like, I don't know how hard it was for... James Franco to get into the Tommy Wiseau mode, or like be Tommy Wiseau, because then I mean, you could like talk about Jim Carrey doing Andy Kaufman. I feel like that is a lot more intensive than going into Tommy Wiseau. Tommy Wiseau is just kind of like overly confident, whereas like Andy Kaufman was like this like kind of, I don't want to say like crazy because that's like kind of, but he was kind of like this like
a living troll.
Yeah, he was like, but he was like very aware, and like it was never trying to be like malicious. It was always like character driven. Yeah, exactly. Whereas Tommy Wiseau, it's just like I feel like it's just ego driven. But
how would you guys rate 2017's The Disaster Artist?
I mean, when I messaged you guys, I was like, it was great. But now talking about it, I'm like, it's good. 7, little bit of thunder.
Yeah,
7, little bit of thunder.
Okay, that's a little surprising because when you guys our initial reactions from everybody I've talked to have been far beyond that. So
yeah, there's a high when you're watching it.
Well, yeah,
it's one of those where you kind of sit on for a second, like, that wasn't that much.
Yeah, and Joe and I went and saw like Furious 6 or Fast 6 together, and we left the theater.
Ethan was there as well,
and then we were like, "This is the greatest movie ever!" And then like the next day, we were like, "That was kind of." Bad.
For the record, I never said that was the greatest movie ever.
This is okay. Jeff's got this story a little.
Were you with us?
Probably.
So Ethan came, and then Jeff and I went and saw This Is the End. And this is the thing, because Fast 6 was so high adrenaline, we thought poorly of This Is the End until the next day when we were like, that's actually better than we thought it was.
Yeah,
it was just no Fast 6.
Yeah.
Where can we find you guys?
This movie is no Fast 6.
Twitter, Instagram,
Facebook,
Snapchat,
almost Patreon. emd.pantspending.com.
The Solitaire app.
artificialwood.pantspending.com. You can find us on the Fantasy Movie League.
No, they can't. They can't get in our league. Our league is locked, dum-dums.
If you guys want to message
You're
us...
not getting in.
If you want to message us on Facebook, I'll add you to our private group message.
Nobody's going to meet me, baby.
Thanks to everyone.
What?
Thank you and good night.
Thanks
to all the people. Happy holidays.
Oh, my knee.